Get ready with me while I tell you all about my super yucky toenail surgeries. Obvious content warning. We're gonna talk about yucky stuff. There's gonna be blood, infections, cauterization, stitches. If you don't like that, don't watch this. I will be showing you all the products I'm gonna use today, but your girl's on a budget, so it's mostly Daiso and some Don Quixote. So if you expected bougie products or makeup talent at all, not the video for you. So to tell you about how I got to needing 5 surgeries, I have to give you a little bit of backstory. And the first thing you should know is my parents have a giant dog. She's a Great Pyrenees, and even as a puppy, she was huge. Something else you need to know is that I grew up in the middle of the woods, okay? Like, middle of nowhere, Arkansas. So my mom sent me on a little quest to my cousin's house, who's also my neighbor, and I decided I would take Baby Doll, the big Great Pyrenees, with me. Because what could go wrong? I go, get the mission complete, probably borrowed some dish soap or something, right? My big mistake was wearing flip-flops this day. I'm walking with the dog, the small horse-sized dog, and she just decides, I'm just gonna run home. So through the woods she goes, and I am being dragged behind her, and not known to me, there is a fence post about this big sticking up out of the ground, and I'm just full force in my little flippy floppies, just full contact right to my big toe. That toenail did not stand a chance. It just like whomp. It was like a hinge. Okay, so like here's my toe, and here's my toenail. It's like whomp, and it's only hanging on by that little bit, like the little bit right here. That's the only thing holding my toenail on. Even though I was 20, I knew that the only thing that would make me feel better was running home to my mommy and daddy. While I was running, my toe was bleeding, like crazy amounts of blood. And you know how flip-flops are super slippery whenever they get wet? Blood's already slippery as it is. The combination of the two, not great. I was just like sliding every step I took. But I run up the stairs, I run inside, and I'm like crying to my parents. I'm like, oh my gosh, my toenail came off, it hurts so bad. I can't find my makeup brushes, so I'm using fluffy Q-tips today. Don't judge me. Anyway, so my mom is a home health nurse, and so she fixed it up for me, and she was like, okay, I don't think it's gonna need, you know, any like doctor attention or anything like that. I think it'll be okay. And she was right to a certain point. So I moved to Japan, I'm living there, no issues. My toenail came in what I think is perfectly normal. I was wrong. My best friend ends up growing an endometrioma, so I'm like, oh crap, better be there for her. So I book a flight, I go back to America, I stay there for 3 months, just so I could be there for her surgery and while she recovers, because my mom was a home health nurse, so I decided to go ahead and take the test, get qualified so I could take care of my best friend so she didn't have to worry about paying anyone, you know, to take care of her. But while I was there, I stayed at the hospital with her. And whenever I stayed with her, I ended up needing to take a shower. And I think it's just a hypothesis. I don't know. Just a hypothesis. I think that's where I got a really bad infection in my toe. Did I wear shower shoes? Yes, I did. But they were given to me by the hospital staff. So maybe they weren't cleaned right. Maybe they were. Maybe they were. Maybe they were. I don't know. But that night, and I don't even know if it would happen this quick, but that night, I was in so much pain, my toe was throbbing. And it didn't happen before that day, it only happened from that day on. So me being me, I was like, I really don't want to like complain about my toe after my best friend just had her abdomen opened and a giant mass taken out. So I was like, I'm just not gonna tell anyone that this is like bothering me. And I didn't. I just realized that this is gonna be mirrored. Oops. So anyway, I ignore that pain for roughly 8 months. It's painful, it's swelling, it's like the sides of my toe are getting like really puffy and filled with pus, and I have to drain it like once a week. But I'm like, you know what? It's probably not that bad. It could be worse. It could definitely be worse, you know? So I ignore it. It's kind of stupid, I know. Finally, after getting so sick and tired of probably seeing me drain my toe, my husband was like, okay, we're taking you to the hospital. I'm back in Japan, mind you, at this point, and I don't know Japanese, and, well, I didn't then, at least not enough to communicate what is going on. So he brings me to the hospital, and we show the doctor, and the doctor just kind of goes, so you need to go to a specialist today. This is from Daiso, and it's really, really pretty, and it lasts all day. But anyway, the doctor is like, you need to go to the specialist today. So I'm like, oh, no big deal. I'm just going to go to the specialist. Specialist's going to remove the part of the nail that needs to be removed. And we're going to move on. Like, this happens all the time. I'm sure, like, every day people are getting, like, ingrown toenail removals, right? What I didn't know is that the reason for the toenail removal, it wasn't necessarily that my toenail was ingrown, even though it was. It was the fact that I had a major infection going on under my toenail and into, like, the middle of my toe, pretty much. So I show up at the doctor, and I'm like, hi, doctor, please remove my toe. Actually, no, I didn't say that. I show up and I'm like, hi, doctor, I need my toenail removed. And he's like, okay, let me get you prepped and ready. Except he doesn't get me prepped and ready at all. He just sits me down on the little, like, bed chair thingy, and I lay back, and he just takes the pliers. Well, they give me an injection first, but they don't wait for it to kick in. And he takes the pliers, and he just, like, pulls up, and he has these little scissors, and he just, like, and he pulls off my toenail. Excruciating pain. It was so bad. I thought I was going to throw up everywhere. I was screaming. I was crying. I wasn't actually screaming because I was very socially aware of the fact I was a foreigner in Japan and I didn't want to scream and seem like a big baby. Anyway, that's whenever we realize that the toenail is not the primary problem. The infection is, because he takes the only way I can describe it is a miniature ice cream scoop. He takes it and he is going into my toenail. No, into my toe. Mind you, the medicine is not working at all. I feel everything. He is scraping out, like, just tons of infection. And it's just, like, it's gross. It's very bloody. It's very, like, goopy. It's, like, this really gross consistency. I feel like it was probably a staph infection because I've had many staph infections before because I'm apparently prone to getting staph infections. I did not know it was a thing until I was a little bit older because I had already had, like, 3 staph infections before the doctor was like, oh, you're just prone to having those. Guess that's a thing. After about, like, 30 minutes, 30, he's like, okay, we're done, and he bandages it up. At this point, I'm numb to the pain, not because of the medicine, but because my brain just checked out. It was like, all right, I'm gone. And then guess what? Do I get anything to help me walk? No. They're just like, yeah, get a cab. Bye. So I have to walk out of the hospital with a toe that is pretty much hollow. And it is so painful. And when I sat up and gravity did its thing and, like, it's all pushing down, it was bad. So I get home and I'm like, you know what would be better for me right now? Sleep. I just want to sleep. I don't want to do anything. I just want to not exist. So I'm like, yeah, I'm just going to go to bed for the whole night. Because this was pretty late, actually. Because we didn't go to the hospital till pretty, like, midday. And if you know anything about hospitals in the Inaka in Japan, it takes all day. It's an all-day endeavor. Arnar, I've made a mistake. And while I'm sleeping, the pain wakes me up. And the only thing I know how to do, again, is call my mama. So I call her and I'm like, what can I do? They didn't give me any pain medicine. It's throbbing. It hurts so bad. And she was like, do you have any of this, or that? And I'm like, no. So she was like, I guess you're just going to have to deal with it and go to the hospital tomorrow. And that's what I did. And they finally gave me pain medicine. A different hospital gave me pain medicine. It was a slow healing process. It was several months. But honestly, that was really the worst day out of all of them. Obviously, but it really healed up pretty well, at least I thought it did, until I realized it's ingrown again, and I'm starting to get those puffs, like, pockets of, like, infection all over again. I have pictures. I won't post them because some of y'all would probably enjoy that a little too much. I know how the internet works, but I have lots of pictures, and it was very, very gross. The healing process, because my toe was hollow, so they had to, like, pack it with cotton, and so it was, like, this globby, gross cotton that had to be, like, replaced and stuff. But yeah, I have lots and lots of pictures, and you know how if you have an iPhone, your phone will categorize your pictures just, like, by itself? I had a file that was dinner, and I go to my phone photos, and in the dinner file is just photos of my toe. My freshly surged toe. I deleted the file. I was like, that's yuck, what? But several months of healing, and it honestly healed really well, except for the sides. They became ingrown again, and that leads me to my next 2 surgeries. Both went pretty well. They gave me appropriate medicines, and they prepped me well because it was a completely different hospital. So that went over really, really well. And I thought I had it, and I did for like a year and a half. It was clear there was nothing wrong. My toenail came back in. It looked great, healthy, wonderful even. Till I woke up one day and realized that there were those pockets of pus back. They were really, really small, hard to see, but under the skin, those pockets of pus were coming back. But did I go back to the hospital immediately? No. It took me several months of draining and dealing with my toe again to go back to the hospital, which I know it sounds stupid, but after that first experience, I was really nervous. I didn't know if the doctor that I was going to get would care at all, apparently, about being a good doctor or not. I didn't know. I was really, really nervous. But the day that I went in, they actually had a specialist there, and she was really, really nice. She really cared about her job. She did just a wonderful, thorough job. She asked me about my past history, about like what it was like whenever I got those surgeries done. I say surgeries, they were just like small procedures. But I felt really seen and like understood by her. It made me feel really, really, really confident in her work. I'm like, yeah, it's time for me to show you my toenail. So I take off my sock, and just by the vibes in the room, I knew something was off because even the nurses, they just like side eye, like, what is that? Girl, what is that? Like, I think I scared them. So I got another, maybe we should do that today kind of thing. Except this time, instead of just removing the toenail, we are going to cauterize the top of your toe and stitch the right side of your toenail to the left side of your toe and hope it grows together. By the way, these lip glosses are absolutely my favorites. I love them so much. So she sits me down in the chair, and at this point, she already knows that I have like a history of doctors kind of doing me wrong. So she's like, you're in good hands, like, we're gonna take care of you, and I'm trusting her, kinda. She gave me plenty of medicine, and after that, she just started going to work. I didn't feel a thing at all. Well, actually, okay, I felt the injections. The injections, the biggest needle I've ever seen in my life, just directly to the toe. Not just to the toe, like, okay, like, under that, they push it under there, and they, like, shove the needle in really, really far, and inject, and then they do the same on the opposite. Like, they put it under here and, like, slide it in. It was gross. And then they had to do one, like, in the vat of my foot. And, my entire foot was on fire. Kind of literally, because they burn it after that. Anyway, mind you, my husband has been there to witness every single one of these surgeries of mine. And he said the first one was just disgusting because it was like infection and they were just pulling a whole bunch of really gross stuff out. And I didn't really look at that one because I was, writhing in pain. But the second one wasn't too bad. They got about this much. They said like about 2 centimeters worth of ingrown toenail from my second and third procedure. And then this last one, I'm sorry, there was another one I think I forgot to mention, but I don't think it was super important. It was just like the second and third one. Those were kind of like all the same. But in the last one, they take scissors and they like cut half the nail off, and then they not rip it off, they like pry it up, and then they cut the meat under the nail. Like they cut the stuff that holds the nail on. They cut it off. And, like, I didn't feel it, thank God, but I heard it. I heard it. It was making this, like, whenever you hear someone, like, cutting your hair, like, when you're at the hairstylist or whatever, it had a similar sound to that. So, yikes. Really, really gross. But my husband said that it was a lot easier to watch that one than the first one. Probably because he knew that I wasn't, like, in excruciating pain. Anyway, it took about, I don't know, maybe an hour to get everything, like, cauterized and stitched up. And they say in movies, like, if something happens and someone gets, like, their arm cut off to cauterize it because that stops bleeding. My cauterized toenail bled more than any other injury to my toe I've ever had. It bled for days. So I get it done, and they actually gave me pain meds. Yay! But if you know anything about living in Japan, their pain meds are not super strong. So, like, a win is a win, I guess. I'm in pain. My husband is like, I'll go into the pharmacy and get your medicine. And I'm like, oh my gosh, thank you so much, babes. You're the best. And he is. And he went in and he got me the medicine that I needed. I forgot to show what I'm using. It's Sky High by Maybelline. And it's pink. It's very cute. It's at this point when my husband is actively grabbing my medicine for me, and I just got my toe surged again, that I remember that I'm supposed to meet up with people for a, like, foreigner meetup. Like, a whole bunch of foreigners in the area are going to, like, gather, like a gathering of sorts. And because I already promised to be there, I was like, I cannot cancel now. Like, this morning, literally just like a few hours ago, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna be there. It's not a problem. So I can't cancel now. So what do? I show up on my little crutches and I'm like, yeah, I made it. And then because of that, I was not laying down like I was supposed to, so my toe bled a lot more. Maybe that's why my toe bled so much. Anyway, my toe bled a lot, and we had to leave early because I was in significant amounts of pain for a very long time. About a year later, it healed, I want to say, like, mostly normal. I thought it healed perfectly normal. I still think it did heal perfectly normal, honestly. But there's a plot twist, because just a few days ago, I noticed something weird about that toe again. Suddenly, I don't know why, but that toenail is no longer connected, except for by the very end again. It's like a hinge, and it's only connected at that very back part. I haven't stubbed it. I haven't hurt it. There's no, like, infection or anything going on, so who knows? But I'm gonna go back to the doctor and see what she says, because I trust her over anyone else that I'm gonna go to. But yeah, that was the story about me and my gross toe, and this is my makeup look. Tell me what you think. Do you like it? I hope so. Thank you for going on this yucky memory lane journey with me, and maybe there will be an update soon. Who knows? I don't, at least not yet. Maybe I'll push it off and I won't go to the doctor for several months, and it'll actually be much worse than it would have been. That sounds like me. But thank you so much for watching, and I had a great time, and I hope you did too, and I will see you next time. Bye!